Our burden of proof today. Hundreds of people could soon be implicated, including possibly Britain's Prince Andrew, if a court unseals court documents in an older Jeffrey Epstein case. It's for a 2015 defamation case between one of Epstein's accusers and his alleged madam, Ghislaine Maxwell. Last week, Maxwell's attorney told the judge, without vetting the documents first, it could incriminate people not related to this case. The judge telling attorneys on both sides to come up with a plan for unsealing those records. A lot to go through here. One of Epstein's accusers, another case, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, claims she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was underage. Her attorney now is requesting an interview with the Duke of York to discuss his relationship with Epstein, that friendship. Joining me now to break this down is criminal defense attorney Parag Shah. Parag, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So many facets to this Epstein case, of course, hanging himself in the jail cell, but also a lot of information or possible evidence seized from various properties. What does this mean for Prince Andrew? First, though, in terms of the meeting, it's a request. He doesn't have to go to meet this attorney.
Right, and he probably shouldn't go because right now he's definitely convicted in public opinion, but in terms of evidence, there's a photograph and an accuser, and based on what they may find at Epstein's house, that evidence may increase, and anything he says can and will be used against him.
He said he had no idea of any wrongdoing going on with Epstein, that he saw him maybe once or twice a year. So he could say, again, no involvement, he says, but he could say, I thought this girl was this age, of age, involved in this, if anything did happen.
Sure, and that is probably his best defense to say that, but deliberate ignorance, I mean, come on, the fact that you didn't know. This all happened after he had already been charged down in Florida, pled guilty, all that stuff. So I think for the public and any jury, it would be very hard to believe. But at the end of the day, at least in the U.S., under the criminal system, it has to be proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's kind of where whatever's found at Epstein's house may change that burden of proof.
And being the Prince Andrew, if he was found guilty of anything, a big if, because he hasn't been implicated or charged, what would happen to him legally here in the U.S.?
So legally, unfortunately, nothing could really happen. He would have immunity, and even though in the U.S. the statute of limitations for sex crimes against children is, there really is no statute of limitations. You could be brought up at any time, but he's over there, and so maybe the royal court could do something, but unfortunately here in the U.S., I don't think anything could happen.
And the more we see about Epstein and the more articles I read and the more stories that come out, it gets deeper and deeper and more complicated in terms of what they were taking from various properties. He owned an island off of St. Thomas, an estate in New Mexico, the brownstone in New York. I saw authorities taking a lot of boxes out of there. Do you think there will be names released in the future?
There will be names released, and there has to be names released, because this lawsuit, the lawyers here are creative. They're going to come up with ways in which they can bring different actions so that this stuff can be released, because the reality is, just because Epstein has passed away doesn't mean that the truth should be hidden.
And I see this is convoluted, but I agree that more evidence is coming out in terms of who was involved, who knew what, and when. Parag Shah, always good to talk to you.
Great to talk to you.
See you. Thanks.